Welcome to Dolphin Dive Daily, your go-to spot for everything Miami Dolphins. If you bleed aqua and orange, hit that subscribe button and join the pod. There's a growing sense of déjà vu around the Miami Dolphins, and it's not the kind that comes with fond memories of past glories. No, this one's darker, heavier, the kind that hangs over a franchise that just can't seem to shake off the weight of its own expectations. Head coach Mike McDaniel once walked into Miami like a breath of fresh air. Smart, quirky, different. A man who looked like the future of NFL coaching, armed with analytics, humor, and a belief in connection over confrontation. But now, 3 years in, those same quirks are starting to sound a little hollow when paired with a 1-5 record and the echo of fans booing as another fourth-quarter lead slips away. And what's becoming a weekly tradition in South Florida isn't about explosive plays or locker room celebrations. It's about a question, the same one that reporters can't resist asking every Monday. Coach, what did you and Stephen Ross talk about after the game? It's not hard to see why that question has become a ritual. Each time the Dolphins lose, especially in the kind of gut-wrenching fashion they've specialized in this season, there's this unspoken tension. Is this the one that pushes Ross over the edge? Is this the week McDaniel starts packing boxes at the facility? When a team's sitting at 1-5, the playoffs aren't even a dream anymore. They're a mathematical impossibility dressed up as hope. The fans know it, the players know it, and so does the owner. Stephen Ross is a man who has spent billions trying to turn this franchise into a winner again. And yet, every October, the story feels the same. Disappointment, frustration, and an awkward Monday press conference where McDaniel tries to hold the line. After the 29-27 loss to the Los Angeles Chargers, McDaniel stood at the podium with the same weary calm he's shown all year. The loss was brutal, another one that came down to the final minutes, another one that slipped through Miami's fingers. 4 of their 5 defeats have come that way, games where one play, one decision, could have flipped the outcome. McDaniel's voice didn't waver as he explained what happened after the final whistle. After the game, the main thing is that he's experiencing the loss like all of us, McDaniel said of Ross. And I think it's a 4th loss this season that we've had that in the final 5 minutes of the 4th quarter, we had a different outcome available to us. Let's just say. And then, the focus on what we need to do as a team to try to correct this. And each time that you have situations like that where you're disappointed, the best way to do something about it is focus on Cleveland. So that's what we talked about. That was the extent of it. It sounds calm, measured, professional, but underneath that calm lies the question that keeps surfacing. How long can Ross keep his patience? The Dolphins owner has seen this movie before. He's hired and fired a carousel of coaches, each one promising change, each one ultimately leaving behind another chapter of mediocrity. And this time, the backdrop feels eerily familiar. Banners flying over Hard Rock Stadium, fans chanting for both McDaniel and general manager Chris Grier to be fired, and talk show hosts across Miami debating whether Ross should finally blow it all up. To make matters worse, the timing of McDaniel's latest post-game chat with Ross couldn't have been more awkward. Just hours before that press conference, news broke that the Tennessee Titans had fired their own head coach, Brian Callahan, only 6 games into his 2nd season, and wouldn't you know it, with the exact same 1-5 record as Miami. In today's NFL, where patience is a dying virtue and owners act faster than ever to protect their investments, that kind of move sends a message. And you can bet everyone in the Dolphins building heard it loud and clear. The irony in all this is that Ross went out of his way at the end of the 2024 season to back McDaniel and Grier publicly. After the Dolphins finished 8-9, missing the playoffs again, Ross released a statement that sounded like both an endorsement and a warning shot. As the owner of this team, I am ultimately accountable for our successes and failures, Ross wrote. We fell short of our expectations this season, and I understand and share in the frustration in our performance on the field. As we now look towards 2025, our football operation will continue to be led by Chris Grier and Mike McDaniel with my full support. Their positive working relationship is an asset to the Dolphins, and I believe in the value of stability. However, continuity in leadership is not to be confused with an acceptance that status quo is good enough. That phrase, status quo is not good enough, has become a kind of ghost haunting the Dolphins this year. Every time the offense sputters, Every time the defense gives up a back-breaking drive, every time a winnable game turns into another long flight home, that line echoes through the fan base. It was supposed to be the year things clicked, the year the McDaniel system finally produced results that matched its creativity. Instead, it's become a year of frustration and finger-pointing, where even the optimism that once defined this team feels forced. And here's the thing. It's not that the Dolphins are getting blown out. No, this team teases you. They hang around. They lead late. They make you believe for 3.5 quarters that maybe, just maybe, they're turning the corner. But then comes the collapse. A busted coverage. A penalty. A missed kick. A questionable play call. The story changes every week, but the ending stays the same. And that's what eats at fans the most. Not the losing itself, but the way they lose. It's like watching a magic trick you already know the secret to. For McDaniel, the irony is painful. When he arrived in Miami in 2022, he was hailed as the future, a young mind from the Kyle Shanahan tree, a play caller who could finally make sense of the chaos that had surrounded this franchise for decades. The first season brought hope, even with its ups and downs. The offense exploded at times, and quarterback Tua Tagovailoa looked rejuvenated. But 2 years later, that momentum has evaporated. Now, instead of innovation, the talk is about accountability. Instead of creativity, the focus is on execution. And that brings us back to those Monday pressers, the ones where McDaniel faces the music. It's almost become a ritual now, like a confession booth for frustrated fans. He'll talk about needing to finish games, about learning from mistakes, about trusting the process. He'll praise the team's effort, take responsibility for the result, and promise improvement. And yet, week after week, the results don't change. It's not that McDaniel doesn't mean it. He does. You can tell he cares. You can see it in the way he talks about his players, how he carries the losses like personal failures. But caring doesn't win games in the NFL. Results do. What makes all this sting even more for the Dolphins faithful is the sense that time is running out. Not just for this coaching staff, but for this core group of players. Every year that passes without a playoff win adds another layer to the frustration. The last time the Dolphins celebrated one was back in the 2000 season. Think about that. The iPod didn't exist. Tom Brady hadn't started a game yet. The world was different, and yet here the Dolphins are, still chasing that elusive postseason victory like it's the Holy Grail. So where does this leave McDaniel? For now, Ross seems content to let things play out. He's known for being loyal, sometimes to a fault, and firing McDaniel midseason would go against the message of stability he preached last winter. But loyalty has limits, especially when your team is closer to drafting first overall than playing in January. The whispers will grow louder. The questions will keep coming. And unless something changes fast, those post-game conversations with Stephen Ross might start sounding a lot different. The truth is, McDaniel's job isn't just about wins and losses anymore. It's about belief. Does the locker room still believe in him? Do the fans? Does Ross? If that belief fades, no amount of clever play design or locker room charm can save him. Football, at its core, is a results business. And right now, the results in Miami just aren't good enough. Still, there's a certain poetic tension in all of this. You can tell McDaniel loves the challenge. You can tell he still believes he can turn this around. Maybe he will. Maybe, somehow, the Dolphins rip off a few wins, find their rhythm, and finish strong enough to quiet the noise. But until that happens, every game will feel like a referendum, every loss another headline, every conversation with Stephen Ross another reminder that the NFL waits for no one. And so, as the Dolphins prepare for Cleveland next week, the story continues. Same questions, same tension, same uncertain future. Maybe one day, these Monday pressers will be about victories again, about playoff pushes and locker room celebrations. But right now, they're about survival. For Mike McDaniel, each post-game talk with Stephen Ross isn't just a conversation. It's a test. And the clock, as always, is ticking in Miami. Still with us? Then show some love. Hit that like button and let us know in the comments. What's your take on the Fins this week? In the latest storm shaking the NFL world, Tua Tagovailoa, the Miami Dolphins star quarterback, has finally broken his silence on a controversy that's been simmering for weeks. And let's just say, he did not hold back. This isn't your typical polite press conference response or the usual vague, we'll handle it internally kind of statement. No, Tua went all in, and fans are buzzing because what he said has the potential to send shockwaves not just through Miami, but across the league. According to sources close to the team, and now amplified across social media like wildfire, Tua essentially called out someone on the roster, suggesting that the recent setbacks they've faced are entirely self-inflicted. His words were blunt, direct, and dripping with a kind of frustration that you can't fake when you're at the top of your game and constantly watching teammates falter. He said, quote, "He got himself into trouble because he doesn't take care of himself properly. That's it. Short, cutting, and enough to ignite speculation for days." The cryptic nature of his comment has fans scrambling, trying to figure out exactly who Tua was referring to. Was it a teammate, a rival quarterback, or someone off the field entirely? The suspense alone is fueling rumors faster than any official press release ever could. What's fascinating here is the timing. Tua made this statement after a particularly challenging week for the Dolphins, one filled with injuries, inconsistent performances, and whispers of locker room tension. Fans have been dissecting every throw, every pass, every sideline gesture, searching for signs that something deeper was going on behind the scenes. And now, with Tua breaking his silence in such a public way, it feels like the floodgates have opened. Social media, as you can imagine, exploded instantly. Twitter threads, Instagram stories, TikTok clips, and Reddit forums are all buzzing with speculation. People are naming players, analyzing injury histories, comparing training routines, and even dredging up past interviews in an attempt to figure out exactly who Tua was pointing his finger at. The rumor mill is churning at full speed, and every fan, analyst, and former player seems to have a theory. The intrigue is real, the stakes are high, and the tension? Absolutely palpable. And it's not just the fans reacting. Analysts on sports networks are already weighing in, breaking down the comment with the kind of meticulous, obsessive detail that only true football nerds can muster. Some argue that Tua is frustrated with a particular player's off-field habits, perhaps dietary, maybe even related to fitness routines or recovery practices. Others speculate that it might be a critique of a teammate's approach to training or even their mental preparation. The underlying message, however, seems crystal clear. Tua expects discipline, professionalism, and full accountability from those around him. And if he feels that someone is consistently falling short, he is not afraid to voice it, loudly and publicly. This is significant because Tua has generally been seen as calm, measured, and team-oriented, a player who prefers quiet leadership over dramatic statements. So for him to speak out like this, that's a seismic shift. It signals not only frustration, but a clear boundary being set in the locker room. The reaction from fans has been equally divided. Some are praising Tua for being honest, for refusing to sugarcoat the reality of high-stakes professional football. Finally, someone calling out the lazy habits, reads one viral tweet. "If you're not taking care of yourself, you're hurting the whole team," commented another. On the flip side, some are concerned about the potential fallout. Publicly naming, or even hinting at naming, a teammate can be a delicate dance. Locker room chemistry is fragile, and one misstep can ripple through an entire season. People are already speculating about tension rising during practice, about whether this will spark private confrontations or create subtle divisions that could affect team performance. The Dolphins' upcoming games are now being viewed through this lens of drama and intrigue. Every touchdown, every interception, and every sideline reaction will be scrutinized. It's the perfect storm for rumor-fueled speculation. And let's not ignore the wider NFL implications. When a star quarterback speaks out in this way, it isn't contained to just one team. Opponents are taking note, rival teams are analyzing tape, and commentators are weighing the potential for ripple effects across the league. Could this lead to trades, lineup changes, or even off-field interventions? Could coaches have private meetings behind closed doors to address the issue before it spirals further? The possibilities are endless, and in true sports rumor fashion, every outlet has a different take. Some insiders hint that this kind of statement could indicate deeper dissatisfaction in the locker room, a sentiment that's been brewing but never publicly acknowledged until now. Others argue that it's simply Tua asserting leadership, drawing a clear line between professionalism and negligence, and that the comment is more about setting standards than casting blame. The ambiguity is delicious for sports media because it keeps the story alive and ensures endless speculation. What makes this even more captivating is Tua's delivery. According to reports, he wasn't aggressive or confrontational in a traditional sense. He wasn't yelling, he wasn't gesturing wildly, and he wasn't creating a spectacle. Instead, he was calm, deliberate, almost measured, but the weight of his words landed like a punch precisely because of that restraint. It's the kind of statement that lingers, that gets replayed in your head, and that fans can't stop dissecting. The notion that someone's own habits could be holding back a team resonates strongly with audiences, because it's a narrative we've seen play out countless times in sports history. The talented but undisciplined player, the team held back by individual choices, the quiet leader stepping up to call it out. These are storylines that capture the imagination. And now, in real time, Tua has become the center of that story. Rumors are swirling about the identity of the person in question, and the speculation is reaching fever pitch. Some point to veteran players who've recently struggled with conditioning or injuries. Others consider younger teammates whose routines might be under more scrutiny. The truth? It may be months, or even years, before we ever know for certain. But the impact of Tua's statement is immediate. It's reshaping narratives, prompting discussions about discipline, accountability, and leadership, and adding a layer of intrigue to an already competitive season. Every Dolphins fan, every NFL analyst, and every casual observer now has a question in the back of their mind. Who got themselves in trouble, and how will it affect the rest of the season? That question alone ensures that Tua's words will echo in discussions, podcasts, and YouTube videos for weeks, if not months. Even beyond the speculation, there's a lesson here about the realities of professional football. High-level sports demand more than talent. They demand consistency, discipline, and a relentless commitment to excellence. Tua's blunt statement is a reminder that even in a team sport, individual habits matter. It's a call-out, yes, but also a wake-up call. A reminder to players, both on this team and across the league, that shortcuts and negligence have consequences. For fans, it's fascinating. For insiders, it's urgent. And for Tua, it's a moment of clear leadership. The Dolphins may be navigating a turbulent season, but one thing is undeniable. Their quarterback is watching, analyzing, and holding everyone accountable. The echoes of that will reverberate far beyond the practice field. As the rumor mill continues to churn, as analysts dissect the layers, and as fans speculate endlessly, one thing is certain. Tua Tagovailoa has broken his silence, and he has done so in a way that no one will soon forget. His words are still hanging in the air, potent, charged, and loaded with implications that are only beginning to unfold. Every game from here on out will carry the weight of this statement. Every sideline conversation may have a shadow of this call-out, and every Dolphins fan will be watching with a new sense of intensity. The story isn't over. It's just beginning, and the NFL universe is paying very close attention. Rumors, drama, and speculation are now part of the narrative, and Tua has firmly inserted himself at the center, making sure that the question on everyone's mind isn't just how the team will perform, but how the individual in question will respond, and whether they can rise to the standard that Tua is now publicly demanding. It's a story of leadership, accountability, and a quarterback willing to speak the truth, even if it ruffles feathers. And in the high-stakes world of professional football, truth spoken like this can be both a catalyst and a controversy, a combination that has fans glued to every moment, replay, and headline. That's a wrap for today's dive. If you're loving the content, share it with a fellow Dolphins fan, hit subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a splash. Fins up.